The Secrets of Star Wars is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com.
Hey, this is Matt Landry, the voice of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars The Clone Wars. You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars. This is where the fun begins.
Hello there.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
That's not how the Force works.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars, where we talk about everything connected to that galaxy far, far away, from movies to books, TV shows, and more. We are looking at the deeper themes and meanings found in the Star Wars universe. I'm your host, Mike Creavey, and back in the saddle once more, and joining me is Jeff Haecker. Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, doing well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Kathryn Laffrey, welcome back.
Hey, Mike.
Well, this is exciting because I had in my notes here, I had it labeled very specifically that we're here talking about Chapter 10, The Dark Lord. But I had it labeled as, I said, the 10th episode of the Maul Shadow Lord series entitled Chapter 10. I mean, The Dark Lord. So I thought that was clever, of course, you know, when I first logged in, when this came out back on May 4th, right? You know, they just had it like Chapter 10. And then, of course, that moment that you see it emerge in the actual episode is like what it's titled. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So let me give the synopsis here real quick and then jump right over to you guys and get your sort of first impressions, and we'll kind of unpack it. So we have, as I mentioned, episode 10, chapter 10, whatever you want to go by here, entitled The Dark Lord, directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, written by Matt, is it Michnovets or Michnovets? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but him and Brad Rao, I've seen them before on writing titles a lot. Came out on May the 4th, rounding out this first season of Maul. And the description here, synopsis is as follows. This is from Wikipedia. Maul and the Jedi engage Vader and the Inquisitors, while Vario, Two Boots, and the Lawsons make their way to the rendezvous point, which is full of Imperial troops. During their fighting, Daki pushes Marak off a bridge. Talk about that a little later. With Devon distracted fighting the 11th brother, Maul decides to leave Daki to be killed by Vader. Devon sees her master die and is overcome with rage. Maul helps her escape from the Inquisitor and Vader and promises to train her so they can have revenge. Lawson sacrifices himself to allow Riley, Two Boots, and Vario to reach Voss's ship, joined by Maul and Devon. As the ship leaves Janix, Devon agrees to become Maul's apprentice. So I should have said spoiler alert ahead of time, but that's the recap.
I think people know.
People have probably seen it by this point. So I did
not. Why are you listening to this podcast?
Right. My only criticism before I jump to you guys, my only criticism of the way that was written by whoever put it together on Wikipedia was the phrasing of what is it I hear? Oh no, okay. I thought for some reason it said Maul decides to leave Daki to be killed by Vader. For some reason I was misinterpreting that like Daki decides to be killed by Vader. It's like, I don't think that was it. No, that is correct. Yeah, Maul very much did. So let me just go to you, Kathryn, first, because you're next to me in the window on StreamYard here. I'll just randomly start that way. What was your first thoughts, your first takeaways from this episode?
Oh, wow. I mean, amazing. I was just talking with my daughter about it today, and she's like, Mom, you're right. After finishing it, I want to sit down and watch all of these episodes, no interruptions, in a movie theater, because this was a huge movie theater finish. Not only that, but oh my goodness, even more painterly than any of the other episodes. I stood like within inches of my TV just so I could look at the beautiful, incredible piece of art. It's amazing.
That's something I want to come back to because I had some questions about that for you. I noticed we just got a new TV, like about since I saw this episode, so I was rewatching it. And I was like, did it look this good back in May? So, well, Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, this was an incredible finale to an incredible season, and it had great action, great character moments, and yeah, we kind of knew Daki wasn't long for this world because Maul's whole thing was, he's found someone as an apprentice that can that, you know, he can use and bend to his will, even though that's what he was just a couple episodes ago complaining that's what Sidious did to him, and he's now wanting to do it to somebody else. So, and yeah, great lightsaber duel. You know, really, like the original trilogy, like as much as I love it and as great as it didn't give you as much of that terrifying sense of Vader that we've gotten in the Disney era stuff, like Rogue One, Rebels, and now this, I think have really put really made, because it's Vader at the height of his power versus kind of the waning of his power in the original trilogy by that time. So I think it's just incredible seeing that, and yeah, it's kind of filling in some things for Rebels, like in the Rebels Twilight of the Apprentice episodes when Maul and the group are facing off against Vader. You know, we can retroactively say, okay, Maul was remembering this and that he couldn't handle Vader. So, and that's in as skilled as Maul is, like how he can't handle Vader. And I mean, it's funny too, because they're both, you know, half machine and half man, half Zabrak or whatever, because, you know, Maul has robot legs, Vader has robot legs and a robot arm and more stuff. So yeah, I mean, just incredible, incredible fighting. We lose Docky. We may have lost Lawson, but I'm just going to point out we don't see the body, so he wanders off into the fog. So you know, there's always the chance. And yeah, it just ends kind of where I expected, where Devon's ready to join Maul. So I think that's kind of the second season will be. I think it's going to kind of be what I wish the Acolyte had been, of like seeing dark side characters like training and becoming a Sith and what that looks like. So So I think it's nice that we're seemingly going that way. But I mean, not nice for Devon, but entertaining for us to watch at least. But yeah, just an incredible finale.
I agree. Yeah, and it was. I think, and one thing I'll mention that I think I heard a lot of people talking about. Of course, people have seen it by now, and but I want to jump right there and just get your guys' thoughts about this specifically. But I personally thought, and you didn't know it right until the whole way through the episode. Really, I kept wondering. But the fact that they really committed to not having Vader say a word, I thought was a pretty neat, because that's not an accident, right? That's absolutely an on purpose kind of thing, And I interpreted it, just get your guys' take on it. My interpretation was just like, what does he have to say? Like there's like, I don't know. I got nothing to say to Maul. Like this guy, like we've been trying to get this guy out, like root this guy out forever, and we're beyond discussion. There's no, I don't have any plans for him. I just need him gone, So that was kind of my take from that, but it definitely made him scarier, right? Because they don't even know, like, is he a guy? Is he a total machine? Like, what is this guy?
Well, and second time watching, that really comes out visually too. You really see him struggling between his machine half and 2/3 and what's left of him, human, because the way he fights is so different. It's one-handed, very stiff, and rarely is he like doing any big motion other than swiping and then his axe chop swing, and it was like, it just made him just all the more terrorizing. And
I'll agree. I mean, it like I said earlier, it really demonstrates the power of Vader's power, and because we don't see him really change that style of fighting until the he's fighting Luke on the second Death Star, because like he's not been overmatched until then, really. I mean, I guess at some point in the next few years he'll have a second fight with Kenobi, but that's another that's a story for another day. And I mean, he'll have fights with Kanan and others, but yeah, we don't really see him. We like especially in the original film, and then in Empire, we kind of see him more of the one-handed, just swinging, like you said, axe chops, like just raw power. Then Maul, we see Maul realizing that he, like, even Maul and Docky together they can't stop him. So Maul just, sacrifices Docky there by force pushing him into him. So, but yeah, yeah, so I think it was a good decision to not have Vader speak. And now I'm curious if we'll see Vader again in this series, or if we're kind of maybe done with the Inquisitors until we get to, or at least maybe like until we kind of get to maybe where we leave Maul on Malachor, if that's where that goes.
Right. Yeah, because he doesn't say, and we can circle back to that a little bit later because it's connected to something I want to ask you guys closer to the end. But suffice it to say for now, I don't remember. I just watched not long ago in preparation for this series, so it's been a couple months. But I watched the Rebels arc, all the Maul arcs, ending with the Rebels arc chronologically, and I don't remember how long he says, or if he specifies how long. He just says he's been on Malachor for many years.
Yeah, it was several years. Yeah, they don't really give a number.
We know that, like, we see him, of course, at this sort of midway point, in Solo, in that closing series. So like I'm sort of anticipating a little bit of, I don't know if we'll see Kira or anything. I guess that, I don't know if that quite will get there yet, but that Dryden Voss, like, they're kind of setting some of those connections up, which is pretty cool, which I'm sure we'll explore in season 2. But let me just turn around here just a little bit and say, so that fight kind of at the beginning, like, I thought it was neat seeing Maul, of course, like, he's pretty quickly realizing, as he says, early on in that episode, you're no Inquisitor, but trying to figure out who he is. And did you guys get the impression that by the end of the fight, he really did have maybe not that Vader is Skywalker. I don't know if he quite makes that connection, but that this is clearly my replacement, or Dooku's replacement. Like, this is the boss's new guy. He definitely seems to get that for sure.
Yeah. No, that opening bothered me the most. Yeah. That's what made me go back and watch the end of the Clone Wars season 7.
Oh, yeah.
Because he revealed so much to Ahsoka.
Right. Right.
With Anakin, and saying that he is my master's new apprentice. And it's like, okay. I mean, the only thing I thought when he said, you're no Inquisitor, was, okay, every Inquisitor he's seen so far has some goofy mask on and is wearing black. Okay, right. You're showing up in the same costume theme. Good job. But, the what are you and all, it's like, dude, he's acting like, moving like a Sith. You should know a Sith when you see one. You are one. Yeah. You were one. So that kind of threw me out of the show right away in the beginning. Yeah. The only thing that I was like, oh, I wish he wouldn't have said that.
So, Jeff, what do you kind of think about that encounter there as well?
Yeah, and I had kind of forgotten that part of Clone Wars that Maul knew. So I'm thinking back. I don't think Maul ever faced Anakin in the Clone Wars.
Correct.
Kenobi and Ahsoka and others. So I don't think he might not even know what Anakin looked like. But yeah, that's interesting that Maul is not, putting 2 and 2 together, that this is the new apprentice. Because we still don't know the time frame. We still don't know if this is like, I think what I've seen is still showing like between like 1 and 4 years after Revenge of the Sith. Like, we still don't exactly know the number of years it's been. So, but yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, I didn't think about it at the time, but yeah, I'd have to rewatch to see how that hits. But yeah, it's interesting that he knew who Anakin was, and because that comes up later in Rebels in the Twin Sons episode when Maul's back on Tatooine, and also thinking back, Maul almost ran over Anakin as a little kid on Tatooine in the
that's
episode
right.
1. Yeah, indeed. And you almost wonder if there's a little bit of like you could have a comedic thing with like Vader, some of those long stares at Maul. It's like, you almost ran me over when I was 9 years old. And now here we are. Well, in that same scene, let me ask you, speaking of, maybe near runs with death, or possibly an actual run with death. Now, we all know from the Ahsoka show, that sort of surprise when she's fighting Marok in the woods and slices, he just turns into green smoke. And then we're like, oh, okay. So do you guys suspect that this might be the moment that he died the first time? I'm curious. They didn't, I waited for end credit scenes or something. There wasn't anything that I saw.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely could be. Although, I mean, I think I think they'd probably save that for a more dramatic end for Marok to just in either Maul or like another episode or in another series or something. Because he, if he's brought back by Night Sister magic, like that would, and all the Night Sisters are basically gone. Like I wonder if Maul is the one who tries to like bring him back in at some point and makes him his own servant. But then when Maul goes away,
rehabilitate him.
Yeah,
interesting.
Like, because we've seen. Because Maul still, at some point he goes back to Dathomir and kind of makes his little home there, and deals with Night Sister magic. Because there's a Rebels episode where he does that. I don't think Marok's gone, but dead. But could be, I guess.
Yeah,
we don't see the body, and again in Star Wars,
exactly.
Even if you see the body, it doesn't matter. Palpatine
and anyone can survive the fall. Anyone survives the fall except
Mace Windu. Yeah. Tech, right?
Tech and Mace. Yeah.
Coming soon.
Well, and everybody now apparently everybody can be stabbed and be okay too, except Qui-Gon. So, there's been some fun things on YouTube. Exactly. Yeah.
Well. For Qui-Gon, at least, he was like kind of basically his spinal cord was basically severed.
Right,
so
it was directly through. Yeah,
whereas like at least when Sabine's
was off center.
Yeah, I was like she may have lost a kidney, but she's anyway.
They can give you a robot hand. They could probably give you a kidney too. So, So what do you guys think about this? Of course, the psychological element here. And we'll come to the escape or the attempted escape. That's a little more. I was going to say like on the surface, there's depth to that too, but there's a little less like, I don't know, like it's a little less deep, perhaps just like trying to get away. But just maybe the last thing I'd ask about that. I saw some debate about this a little bit. Like, because there's a few moments there where Maul is like, he's covering for them, right? He like Daki and Devon, he tells him to run, like they run. He's holding off Vader like that, He could have been killed in that moment by Vader, and then it would have been retroactively remembered that he helped them escape or try. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so interesting to me that like, it just depends on which minute we're at.
Yeah.
And then the moment that there's like, oh, wait, if I pull back now, he can die and I'll be able to get away. Like, it's just, so what you guys, any observations you had or just thoughts you had about Maul and where he's at right now, how much of it is, like legit determination to take out Daki and no matter what, the cost, so he can train her, how much of it's just his own self-preservation and whatever seems to be most likely to help that at any given moment? What do you think?
Again, it was watching the end of Clone Wars that I realized how much Maul has learned from Sidious. Maul playing the long game, and he's been playing it since the Clone Wars. And just like Sidious put himself in harm's way, Maul has done the same thing. It's their parallel story. Lucas's favorite thing, let it rhyme, right?
Poetry, it rhymes.
Yep. And so, that's all I kept thinking is, it made me like loathe him. I was like, you're playing this long game. You're looking innocent at times. No, it was just,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been talking about taking Daki out for several episodes. Like, I know at least in the last episode, and I think in the previous couple too, like he knows Devon won't follow him as long as Daki's there. So I think it was kind of a moment. It was in the moment decision, but it served his ends anyway. Because Maul's a chaos agent and is always looking for what can benefit him the most. And at that moment, it was I can get rid of Daki, and I can give us a little time to get away from Vader. I think he just took advantage of that moment.
And there was one great art moment. It was after they had collectively pushed Vader away, and Maul is sitting on the steps, and he's talking with them. The background behind Maul is blurred and very impressionistic. The background behind Daki and Devon is very clear and detailed. And so you're getting this deception, impression, feel. Anytime you're talking to Maul, you're not taking anything he's saying is the full truth. It's like blurred. And so I loved that little art bit that they threw in there. And these people rewatch and freeze when they pan out and show, I'm going to say, the painting for the ruin of the temple. It is incredible. It looks like a Renaissance cathedral that's been collapsed except for part of the dome over the apse or the sanctuary. A little bit of the spire is still there. And then there's the bridge leading away. So I highly recommend you go watch Secrets of Sacred Art, episode 46, because this place looked like Las Las. And I was like, no way. I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, because I kept feeling like it looked like, like just the whole way through it, I don't know how else to put it, like a moving painting, right? Yeah, like just like waterfalls almost, like all the colors are just always just a little bit not troubled, but alive, and just it was just fascinating. Consequently, I was thinking, just with as incredible as those fight sequences are, which I think we always like those, right? But sometimes I feel like there's something, depending on the show, depending on the episode, it just feels a little special once in a while where you really notice something like that. It's just really well done. I want to say rehearsed, but they're animated characters. but obviously, that has to go into the motion, and the sort of choreographing of it. And one thing that it occurred to me only on the second kind of watch through, though, is, what did it say, 11th brother? I think he's the crow mask guy, or sometimes called the crow faced inquisitor or whatever. I had forgotten not just how fast, but how Ahsoka takes him out. Right, like later in the chronology, of course, when he comes hunting, because he got the tip about the Jedi in that Tales of the Jedi episode. She doesn't even have a lightsaber. She just gets locked with him, takes it and slices him, and he drops. And I'm like, dude, so watching this and how much trouble he's giving all these people, it really sort of boosts Ahsoka yet again in my estimation. She is pretty awesome. And I think it's interesting that they tied it into where she ends up facing both of these guys, which is pretty cool too in the long run, and defeating both of them in theory, ultimately, so that was just, although how all that connects is fun. Well, let me ask you guys, why don't we jump over quick, and then if there's anything else we want to say about our Jedi / Sith, characters here, we can kind of close with that. But moving over to kind of the parallel plot here, as our other characters are trying to escape. I mentioned to you guys before we started recording, I just want to mention this one and then open it up to you guys and just see anything you noticed or what you really thought was fun or intriguing, or kind of setting some neat things up in the future from that, some of those encounters and those moments. But Vario, of course, right? They're trying to escape. They need a diversion. And it's like the classic movie trope thing of he's the guy that has to go. Or I think of, when they did that in Ghostbusters, didn't they? When they're in the library, right? Like the two, whenever two guys look at the third guy, or four guys look at the fifth guy, whatever. And he's like, what? Why me? So when he's getting psyched to run and he's saying to himself, you're not small, you're super tall, you're not. And then he yells, over here, you moof milking laser brains. And I just had to laugh. I was like, it's just always fun. I like those little things of pulling in, in that case, some insults we've seen from multiple Star Wars iterations. So those are some of my, less important observations. But so what do you guys think about this section? Any surprises, anything you thought was, just sort of exciting or potentially setting us up for season 2?
Yeah, I mean, nothing too deep here. I mean, I don't know if we're jumping to talk about Lawson's Last Stand yet, but
yeah, I think we could get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the most poignant part, and that's what sets up. We don't know what Riley's going to do now, because we've seen him, he in the last episode, he put his blaster on stun, or he wouldn't turn it on, to kill. And even in this one, he's not, he's just shooting stun blasts. But if he thinks his dad got killed, what is that going to do to him? And is he? because he and Devon have kind of, or at least maybe it's more one-sided, but Riley's kind of seemed like he's had a little bit of a crush on Devon. And, you know, what's that going to do to him if he's like obsessed with her and also wants revenge? Like, is Devon going to use him in the future to, for her and Maul's ends? Or is Riley just going to go off to find his mom and live, you know, relatively happily ever after? So I'm curious. I don't think the character is going anywhere. So I think we will see him in the next one, but maybe he has a big break with Devon, or maybe she kills him to go really dark. Like maybe that's kind of what leads her into like fully committing to the Sith. Because you know, because that is the thing in the Sith, from what both in at least in the Legends, there was like, before Palpatine became a Sith, like Plagueis made him kill his whole family as kind of like, this is your final, like, this is your initiation. Like, if you want this power, you have to break your chains. And I could see Riley being kind of that for Devon. So, but I mean, but yeah, we don't see Lawson, you know, we don't see Lawson's body there, because he, you know, he lays down the cover fire and you know, it was funny that we're talking about this on Father's Day, because he, you know, he apologizes to his son, saying, you know, I'm sorry, I wasn't the best dad for you, but I tried to do my best. And, you know, he gives his life to help his son get away. And he tells Two Boots, like, take care of my son. And so, you know, Two Boots is still around too.
Yeah.
Just looks so sad.
Yeah.
After it was all over. I mean, it's like he ended up like becoming a real boy by the end of this. He's my Pinocchio character. But just watching Riley go through the whole battle, thankfully keeping his innocence. He hasn't killed anyone yet. That's a big trauma thing for anyone. And then, the whole goodbye from his dad. And then he's picking up the big gun like he's, you know, one of the Bad Batch. It's like, okay, sweet. But yeah, he's an important character because he is the only one to witness Maul pushing Daki to Vader.
Yeah.
He was watching and was like, what? You see that look on his face when he sees what happened. And then, you know, Maul just left him to die. So I was like, no, he has to live. He knows something. He can't die.
But he's a loose end now too. Theoretically, if Brander pops back up. I was
really concerned. He told Two Boots to take him to his mother.
Yeah.
He's wanted. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
Well, that's something too. Yeah. Because we only saw her briefly. We got little snippets here and there, you know, and how he said about how the Empire would like ruins families or destroys families, or whatever. Like obviously like her service has created that divide. But yeah, I mean, it's just sort of impossible, I guess, at this point to kind of guess, you know, well, you can guess, but it's impossible to know how that's going to play out, you know, but, yeah, I don't think going anywhere near the Empire is something that's going to be a high priority for Maul. You know, it's like, oh, let's go drop the boy off because, you know, that's what his dad wanted. Like, I don't think so. Yeah, because that's, you know, what he said about a loose end. I was wondering about that at the end myself, because it's like, well, I think everybody but Devon. So, like, you know, I mean, like, what does Maul need with Riley? What does Maul need with Two Boots? So, I mean, hostages, you know, so I'm a little nervous for them going into season 2. We didn't really get resolution there, of course. It's just that they're on the ship and they've just escaped. So, yeah. So I don't know if, what'd you guys, let me back up for a sec. What'd you guys think about, no, we saw Voss, of course, earlier and you know, Solo's come up a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Sort of the potential here for them to really explore some of this background, you know, a couple years at least before, you know, Solo. Any thoughts on that or connections to what you thought about Solo, maybe? I always thought it was a little underrated personally. I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I think part of the problem I think was the marketing. Like, I don't think they marketed it very well. And they also didn't, I think it also went up against Avengers Infinity War, if I'm remembering correctly. So it was like pretty quick after that they had, like, I think Solo came out then Infinity War came, or the other way around. But anyway, it was close against each other.
I think it was only like 6 months after Last Jedi had come out.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like really tight to that and all that controversy. And I think it just kind of, I think it was not executed well, but
yeah. No, but
go on. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I enjoy that movie, but yeah, it's going to be interesting because at least the way I took Solo is that Voss and Crimson Dawn reported to Maul. And I thought that Maul was in charge of Crimson Dawn, but here Voss wants Maul to kill his boss so that Dryden Voss can take over Crimson Dawn. So it'll be interesting to see if there is, is Maul going to kill Dryden's boss, and then Voss is like, oh, thank you, and now I can take over. And Maul says, well, actually, you're not going to be in charge.
That's what he did on Mandalore,
right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
I just realized that. Yeah,
and he did that. Yeah, he did that to all the other crime syndicates. He took out the lead and basically said, I'm in charge now, but. Yeah, no, I think there's a chance in season, I'm envisioning that they're going to do 3 seasons of Maul. I don't know if they will, but I'm thinking if they do 3 seasons, that's kind of their plan, that season 2 is like the Crimson Dawn connection. Maybe it ends somewhere around when, it kind of connects with Solo. We see, we could see Kira, we could see others. And then I think the 3rd season might be bridging Solo to the Rebels episode where Twilight of the Apprentice, where we find Maul again. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Maul and Crimson Dawn.
What do you think, Kathryn?
Weaved it in really nicely to make you, first of all, want to rewatch Solo. I'm game. I like it. And then just, bringing the character. And you only saw him briefly in the end of the Clone Wars. His little face was there and Maul's telling everyone to go underground. And so it was it was neat to watch all of this come together. And really, people go back and watch those Maul episodes because it just brings together this whole long game. It's fascinating.
I feel like that functions similar. They set themselves up for that to function similar to the Shadow Council in Mandalorian season 3. So that's like, hey, remember those guys we had that Zoom call with? It's like, they can be the bad guys and other things. It's something. I feel like and I'll maybe kind of set you guys up for this one here because we probably don't have a whole lot much more to say here. I don't necessarily for this. I'm going to see if you guys have anything else to add. But one kind of big final-ish question I had was, with this character now that we've seen come from a cool looking, great on the action figure card I've got. Here we go. We'll hold it up here. We're doing video with each other right now. This is a Chaotic Mundi that I got at a what's it called? Not a thrift shop, a yard sale, basically. From the original. It still has the KB Toys sticker on it right there.
Nice.
Which used to be a thing. So, but what's the 1998 Hasbro, which is funny because he actually has a purple lightsaber in this box because he didn't ignite it in episode 1. Yeah. And I think they expected it. In fact, the Mace Windu one has a blue one, which is kind of funny. But anyway, like you have Darth Maul on all the advertising for episode 1, and he's just cool looking. And it's like, yeah, that's like a Star Wars villain. But nobody, ever saw, I think, it going this way. And I was pretty skeptical when I was hearing through the grapevine before I had access to like Clone Wars and stuff. And it's like, oh, they're bringing him back. I'm like, come on. Right. So, but I just get your guys' impression here. We sort of asked this, I think, in some of the early episodes of this run, as we were getting ready for this show. What do you guys think at the end of season 1 here about the overall way that they've handled over all these years, this development of this character? Maybe I'll start with you, Jeff, and then go over to Kathryn.
Yeah, they basically turned a one-note villain into one of the most complex and tragic characters, as we've come to find out from this. Yeah. There were hints of it in Clone Wars of his kind of sad background, but like actually a couple episodes ago, getting to see him as a kid and being tortured by Sidious. So, I think they did a great job of kind of building out his story. And even in Legends, they didn't get into, like, he was always just kind of the dog on the chain that you the attack dog that doesn't really have much to him other than that he's a very skilled fighter and you send him to kill your enemies. But we've really like gotten to explore his story, and I mean, so much of that credit goes to Dave Filoni for the story and Sam Witwer for the portrayal. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of imagine, and also they were, I think Lucas's original kind of tentative drafts for the sequel trilogy was going to have Maul come back as a villain, like as the main villain in that.
Right. Yeah.
Which,
that would have been really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think they did just an amazing job with his character, and like bringing him, finding him as a crazy spider lizard or spider like monster guy,
whatever he was.
Like to kind of becoming the fully realized, like, almost fully realized Sith Lord of trying to like, do Sith things that he never really got to be in just his one movie appearance. So yeah, I think they did a great job with his character.
Gotten to know him more. It's also been fun to watch how he has grown visually. I mean, even in the live action, the first time we see him, he doesn't really say anything, and he's just a fighter. Okay, so he's it's funny how in the live action he's more one-dimensional than he is at the end of this season. But the artistry that they use to develop him, the more depth we get on him, the more detailed he is. And so it's been fascinating to watch how that has helped bring so much more, like, okay, this is going somewhere deeper and deeper. The sad thing for me is putting together the fact that he is and has been stalking women. So, obviously he took great joy in killing Obi-Wan Kenobi's girlfriend. Tragic. But then he takes on Rook. Then he tries to get Ahsoka to be his apprentice. I loved to rewatch today.
Yeah.
She handled him.
Yeah.
Because she did everything I wanted Devon to be able to do. But he goes from Ahsoka to a younger girl. He's going after Devon. And so it's like, just the creepiness of this for me as a woman, it hits hard. And it's, I do not like watching him prey on her. And that last look that he gives Devon when she embraces his lightsaber, you won't go into the symbolism, all of that. Just wrong. I'm dreading to see what he's going to do to her.
Yeah.
It's just very on edge.
Yeah. Well, he does go after Ezra too, so he's not.
I know. Yeah. Eventually he goes after Ezra, but that would be after his relationship with Devon failed.
Yeah, that's true.
So then what does he do? He turns to young boys? Sick. I'm sorry.
What's actually interesting is I this is going to be a bit of a stretch, but I was thinking of this and it just reoccurred to me. But one of my favorite additions to the saints in recent years has been Saint Charles de Foucauld. And for any listeners not familiar with him, he was a pretty wild guy in the kind of last quarter or so of the 1800s, and he was a French French Foreign Legion. He's an adventurer. He's a military guy. He's a womanizer. He's just he was drinking and he's doing all this wild stuff. And has this huge conversion experience, ends up as a monk, basically living by himself in the Algerian desert. He's like the real life Obi-Wan Kenobi to that light. So, but long story short, when he had this huge conversion, he has this total huge change of his life, and he has this deep desire to pass it on to someone else and to basically have others gather with him and to have apprentices. And it never happens, or it doesn't last, And what I find interesting is, this is, again, like quite a stretch, but I saw this almost weird kind of like, not mirror image, but basically it's photo negative, where you have, someone who's had this dramatic moment and they're trying to sort of like imbue this into some new generation. They're trying to have that almost a fatherly kind of, passing on what they've learned, right? Says Yoda to Luke. And what's intriguing to me is it wasn't meant to be, right? And the fact that like Charles de Foucault, like he never got a following in his lifetime and he dies as a martyr alone in the desert, basically. But he completely submits it all to the will of God. And you read in his writings these beautiful, like the entrustment to the will that is above his own. And I find it so fascinating that Maul is like the exact opposite. I don't think that was anything the show creators were attempting to do, but we're Secrets of Star Wars. And so this is the kind of thing we do. But I thought of that. I thought, here you have like this is the alternative where like, I want so badly this thing, whatever it is, even if it was a good thing. Right. And at the end of the day, like Maul doesn't serve anybody but himself, and that to me seems there's a big lesson. Like what will you go to if you don't have any, greater will than your own above you that you're serving,
Mm-hmm.
And the irony, I'll just bring it a full circle back to what Kathryn said earlier, because who's he basically being like now? He's being like the very guy who he hates and who ruined his life and who brings about genuine traumatic emotion in him. And he's become that person.
Yeah. And I mean, they don't really get into this in Rebels, but when he went to Tatooine seeking, he was seeking for Kenobi, and he found out why Kenobi was there, that he's protecting somebody. Like, if things had gone another way, would Maul have gone and found Luke and taken him as, the next apprentice? Like,
right.
So it's just that chain of, that generational trauma in a sense that's being passed from Sidious to Maul, and now Maul to, Devon and Ezra for a time. But, luckily Ezra gets away from it, and comes back to the light side. So,
well, and as Jimmy Akin would say, when Maul dies in the desert and passes on to his eternal reward, which I love how Jimmy says it sort of neutrally, because he's like, it's not up to me to say what that is. So, but even in that last moment, as amazing as that scene is, I mean, I don't really see Maul expressing much repentance. His dying words are basically about like how Chosen One will avenge us, because we've been wronged. And it's like, yeah, but it's like, but dude, you killed a lot of people, like, I'm sorry, forgive me. Like there's nothing like that. Yeah. So it is a real tragic character.
Yeah. Well, there's not really a Star Wars heaven or anywhere else. There's only a few people who get to go, who can, lose their physical bodies and actually retain their identity in the Force. So. Yeah. And Maul is not one of those. The Sith have to basically like stay alive through cloning or other things. Like right. they don't have a spirit that can pass on and stay intact.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to really bring up about this episode in particular, or the show as we were kind of capping off this first season?
The big jump scare.
Oh, which one?
In the beginning, after Daki and Devon push Vader away, and then I'm like going, wait, where's Vader? Is he following them? He's like the silent, stalking, and then all of a sudden you get to the moment where Maul freezes, looks at the wall, right. And then Vader's hand comes through. Screamed both times. I watched it.
He Kool-Aid Man's it.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh my gosh, good reference there, JV. I'm never going to see that the same way twice. Kool-Aid Man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nothing else on this episode. Just kind of thinking ahead to the next, what's in the next season and beyond. Like I think I've already talked about, but just I'm kind of thinking that if they get the third season, it'll kind of bridge Solo to Maul on Malachor, and we could see where, because I think we do need to see the ultimate, fate of Devon. Like, is she going to break from Maul and like realize that what she's been doing is wrong? Like, will she have a vision of Daki or something, or something along those lines? Or, could Riley be the one that brings her back if he's still around?
Yes, Jeff, I'm glad you said that. I want that redemption arc ship.
Yeah, because and I tend to think that Devon is the one who strands Maul on Malachor, like that they were going there.
I'd be satisfied by that.
Yeah, like they were going there because Maul was trying to find this weapon or whatever, and needed the two people to access it or whatever. And then in the middle of that, Devon realizes that, that this isn't what she like, that kind of has that change of heart, hopefully. So hoping we get to see that, because and then see kind of what happens beyond that, because we haven't really seen a dark side character really live with the redemption. The only one we kind of see any sort of is Barriss in the Tales of the Empire episodes. We see, we see, her life for a little bit after that, but like Reva from Obi-Wan and others, like we don't know what happens to them after they've kind of turned away from the dark. So hoping we get to see that with Devon down the road.
And she would be, she's a couple years, younger than Ahsoka. So, I mean, they could find a way to kind of fit her into that sort of Mandoverse timeline, I think, effectively.
I mean, I think they're probably not going to reveal her fate, though, because if we see Devon show up, then it's like, oh, well, we know she's alive. So maybe she could show up in the other stuff or the sequel era timeline.
That's what. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think you'd see her before we find out within the Maul context where she. Yeah, because that would be. But it was interesting because you don't want to make too much of when Ahsoka says in season 2 of Mandalorian, when she says to him, a Jedi may find him, the Seeing Stone thing, but there are not many Jedi left. And you can be like, well, okay, she's talking about Luke, Ezra. And it's like, yeah, maybe. It's sort of like, it's kind of like, how far they took those couple words Obi-Wan says in A New Hope about, we fought the Clone Wars. It's just there. There you go. Have fun with that, everybody, for the rest of the history of Star Wars. So yeah, she doesn't say how many. You can't make it too many, because I think that starts to make like, okay, how effective was Vader and the Inquisitors and all them after all? Like, well, only 200 of us survived. Really? I thought it was only like Obi-Wan and Yoda. Like, that's very strongly implied. But anyway, all right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing where things go from here. So, well, I think that's going to be it for us here on this episode of The Secrets of Star Wars. And we'd like to take a moment, as always, to thank all of our patrons who make the show possible, including Renee K, Miles F. I've never seen this name before, so forgive me if I mess it up. Lily Madleen. It's a really cool name. Father Jason T and Al M, which I first read as AIM. Because I just read the Pope's encyclical. It's on my head. Anyway, so Al M. Thank you, Al. So their generous donations help us to create the Secrets of Star Wars and all the shows here at StarQuest. And you can join them at GiveStarQuest.com. Be sure to follow the Secrets of Star Wars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite podcast app, and on the StarQuest YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, on X, where we are at SQPN, or on Instagram, where we are at StarQuest Network. And be sure to get your official Secrets of Star Wars gear at sqpn.com/merch. You can't tell this by listening, but I am wearing a Secrets of Star Wars t-shirt right now. And my friends here can verify that. So and now we'd like to hear from you, our listeners. So what did you think of this episode of Maul, Shadow Lord? And, let us know what you thought of the season too, overall. You can let us know that by sending us an email at starwars@sqpn.com, or on our social media pages. Also by leaving a comment on our channel on the StarQuest Discord server, which you can find at sqpn.com/discord. And we have a spoiler-free channel, or spoiler channel, and one that will be current with the show, so you can jump into the conversation kind of wherever you're at that point. So moving forward, we're going to keep you guys posted as we go, but we have the 9th Jedi series coming out at the time of this recording soon. Yeah. Is that the chosen fans out there, right? Know that how Jesus, what does that mean soon? So, but once we get more word on that, you guys will hear more from us about kind of unpacking that. What really started as a cool visions, kind of storyline that they're going to pursue now on this upcoming series. So stay tuned for more on that, more information on that. So until next time, thank you for joining me in sharing the Secrets of Star Wars, and thank you, Jeff Haecker.
Thank you, Mike.
Absolutely. And Kathryn Laffrey, thank you very much as well.
Thank you, Mike.
And once again, I'm Mike Creavey. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest.
Here's another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy. The Secrets of Technology. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found, or at sqpn.com/technology.